one of the first Stacker chats since Q3 started very recently. We've seen a ton of traction since Q2 to Q3. There's been, at this point, over 5,000 Clarity smart contracts that have been published. That's up close to 2,000 since the quarter before. And now over 72 independent entities, startups building. So that's really exciting, but can you share some of the focus areas ahead for this quarter and the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think the number of Clarity contracts published, I look at developer traction as a leading indicator of everything else. Like if you get more developers, you're going to get more applications, and then the better shot you have of taking those applications to mainstream users and so on. So I think looking at the number of Clarity contracts published, and also the number of entities, which is a proxy to how many people are kind of like full-time working and building in the ecosystem, I think that's a very healthy sign. I think before we get into some of the things that I'm kind of like looking forward to moving forward, I want to like highlight one thing that I've seen kind of like this movie a couple of times before, where a bear market starts and you would notice that, a couple of months go by and slowly kind of like people start losing conviction, right? So I've seen this like multiple times before. For example, in 2016, back then, when the crash happened, there was a very strong narrative at that time that maybe blockchains are actually more useful than enterprises, which I completely disagree with. I think they are more like open, permissionless networks, and in enterprises, you can actually control the setting that you have and build kind of like federated systems over there. And there were a lot of companies that actually almost like stopped doing what they were doing and started building kind of like these enterprise blockchains and other stuff. And that just went nowhere. There were even people who then came back to the crypto industry after spending and wasting a bunch of years and time and effort on things because they just felt this need to like do something different. And I think this is the kind of like the part where people with high conviction and people who are driven by a mission kind of like stand out, that when the bear markets happen, they take that as an opportunity to double down on their work, and they maintain their thesis, especially if you truly believe in it. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't experiment and you shouldn't kind of like look at other adjacent ideas, especially if you believe in it. So a contrasting thing would be that I think in 2018 or so, so we were one of the early investors in OpenSea, so kind of like got to see their story unfold. Those people were like heads down working on their NFT marketplace because they truly believed in it. And there was no data out there that this thing is going to be massive down the road, but at least there was conviction, and they were having fun building what they were building because they actually believed in it, versus trying to explore like some other random idea that maybe some of their investors might be pushing them on exploring. And this has not happened just once or twice. It's happened a couple of times in the industry before, that the people who look like geniuses down the road, they were the ones who actually took the time in the bear market to work on things that actually matter and things that you actually believe in, right? So I think that's basically the bigger lesson for me personally and for my peers as well. And then I think you look at, okay, what can we learn from the last cycle? Like it's pretty clear that I think the network capacity and speed was a big bottleneck as a Bitcoin layer. I think when people are coming to stacks to experience some of the applications, if they're having a much worse experience compared to some of the newer L1s out there, that's a big bottleneck, right? Developers would go somewhere else or users would go somewhere else. So that's kind of like a big clear thing that we need to work on. And the second thing is non-custodial BTC, which also solves the Bitcoin write problem. So I think as a Bitcoin layer, Stacks needs to be as tightly integrated with Bitcoin as possible. And I think the non-custodial BTC is a critical piece of that puzzle because it also solves the Bitcoin write problem. Right now, the contracts can read Bitcoin state, but you should be able to kind of like write back as well, which actually really unlocks the full potential. So those are kind of like some of the things which, given the bear markets, this is by far the best time to work on those infrastructure level things. And I think that's what I expect a bunch of effort at Trust Machines and some of the other entities like in the coming 6 to 9 months. This is what we'll be doing. And I think I'm very glad that we are in a position, at least as a company, Trust Machine, that just closed a large round before the bear market started. But also, like, I've been chatting with a lot of other folks in the ecosystem, and I think they seem to kind of like be on the same page that, hey, this is kind of like the time for building.
Well, great. And yeah, if folks are interested in working on some of those meaty problems, you know, Trust Machines is hiring, the foundation is hiring, a lot of entities in this space. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Stacker Chats, everyone. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe for more content like this, and let us know if you have any questions in the comments below or on Twitter. Thanks, Muneeb, for being here. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.